Yeah, where I grew up, well, I was born when my parents lived on the Cudgegong River below Yarraman. My dad bought a place at Hargraves. Stuart, when I was only 6 months old, I was shifted up there. So I've lived in the headwaters pretty well all my life, the headwaters that flow into Burrendong. My parents, grandparents and great-grandparents on both sides of my family were all part of Burrendong. So Burrendong's a pretty important part of my life, and I think it's a pretty important part of a lot of people's lives. There was something like 90 big properties resumed on Burrendong. About 120 families were kicked out of their homes. So I feel pretty deeply about it, and that's why I've gone to the trouble of doing what I've done. And that was virtually the inspiration. I just found that there were so many good stories told of people that lived on Burrendong, what wonderful families they were, and the good times and the hard times that they had, and I suppose I was inspired to pass this on to the younger generation, because they won't be as lucky as what we are. They won't ever know those sort of people, and I feel pretty strongly about that. As far as researching it, as I said in the book, I was an inquisitive little coot, and I used to love to get where there were some blokes telling stories, and from a young age I started to put in the old memory bank some of the stories that old bushmen told. So I suppose I've researched this for over 60 years. It took a long time, didn't it? The things that I found interesting, I found it all interesting. You know, but I suppose the thing that I must say, that when I finally got around to putting this in writing and doing it, was the terrific response and the terrific help that I had from people associated with Burrendong. Right, wherever I went, and I'm still getting it. I got it yesterday in Wellington. The people that came in, they were all so appreciative that someone had tried to do the whole area, and I suppose that was the most interesting thing, and really I got a shock to just see how supportive people were. As far as purchasing the book, we've got launches in 4 places right around the dam. Those that can't get to a launch and purchase a book there will be places available at each place. As far as Stuart Town goes, there'll be books available down at the little shop on the other side of the road there. What do we call it? Yeah. Well, there'll be books available there. There'll also be books out at the dam, at the kiosk at the dam. They've shown interest in keeping them there, and they're very happy because so many tourists come there asking where someone they knew lived, and they're not able to tell them. So this book has got maps, and hopefully anyone that comes there will get a fair idea of where their family live. And I suppose the other thing I should do is read you this little poem that starts it off. When I started to write this book, I called it Burrendong Before the Dam. After my editor had read the last poem that I wrote, which was called Ghosts of Burrendong, he suggested, or insisted I might say, that we call it Ghosts of Burrendong. The poem's called Burrendong Before the Dam. They took up their selections on rivers or nearby streams, full of hope and vigour and ambitious long-term dreams. Mostly they arrived on horseback, some came by horse and dray. Holding all their few possessions, it was clear they'd come to stay. Building yards and meagre huppies like those relics from the Ark, just saplings wired together and strip sheets of stringy bark. Working from dawn till after dusk, seldom stopping for a spell. The still mountain silence broken each time their axes fell. They cleared the virgin scrublands from those mountains oh so steep, watching the native grasses grow, making feed for their mobs of sheep. With a garden by the river, they lived on what they grew. plus anything they caught or shot went in to make the stew. Then came the plagues of rabbits, eating everything in sight, leaving a scene of devastation, this unnerving, fearful plight. They cursed the silly bugger who brought those pests out here to create such shock and horror and unnerve us certain fear. The properties now were deserts, they were barren, worthless hills, while the flats along the river a sheer mat of rabbit bills. Lesser folk would have tossed it in, packed up and moved away, but these were pioneering types and they had come to stay. They couldn't keep a family with the bales of wool they sold, so lived by selling rabbit skins and by digging a bit of gold. The men were strong and skilful, hacking out this bushman's life. Courageous, big-hearted women as the mother, teacher, wife. Children learned the bushman's ways, to help, to lend and share. They were taught to be considerate, to be honest, kind and fair, to be grateful for their heritage and respect their fellow youth, to have a sense of humour, to show pride and tell the truth. Everything was built to last, to pass on each generation, holding lots of grazing stock, not just water conservation, with images of ownership by a surviving son or daughter, never in their wildest dreams to be buried underwater. So many locals criticised, said the government got it wrong, to gobble those good river blocks for a dam at Burrendong, to break the chain of pioneers who helped to build this nation, to drown this line of heritage for the sake of irrigation. When I see those western crops of veggies, fruit and cotton, I remember those from Burrendong, now mostly long forgotten. When next you tear into a meal like a hungry highway trucker, rest assured you eat the best if it's Macquarie Valley tucker. Now we know this mighty dam helps strengthen our great nation, giving many a better way of life, good food and recreation. I ask you all to offer thanks, like every Aussie order, to those that lost their homes for this lovely stretch of water.